What's up, guys? In case you're curious, it's not what a lower unit or a motor is supposed to sound like. So we are running into some motor troubles, unfortunately. Again, no matter what I do, it seems like I keep getting kicked down. But we're gonna fall down 7 times, get up 8. So we're gonna go drain some oil out of it, see if there's any metal shavings in the oil, because it sounds like a lower unit issue. Call some Marinas. We have tomorrow before the tournament starts, so we're gonna see what we can do. But give me some praise, God. Give me some praise. Let's see what we can do. Holy crap, we're actually live. What's going on, guys? It's actually day 3 of practice. I missed day 1 and day 2. Day 1, my GoPro cable didn't work to charge it, and it was dead when I got out there because I thought I had a power pack and we were good, right? Wrong. And day 2, I had graph troubles. So this graph wasn't turning on, and it has my down imaging and my side imaging, so that's pretty critical, right? So it took me till 9:30 to fix it, and then by that point I was just like ready to go, and then I forgot to get a different cable, and I got out here and was like, oh, nuts. So day 3, we actually have a GoPro that is charging in the boat, so we're gonna go out here and see what we can do. It's been tough. We've been getting a couple good bites every day. Now we just got to find some filler fish, you know, some 3-pounders, some solid ones. We can kind of get on a couple different patterns. I'll talk about it more probably when I'm off the water, but for now we're gonna go out here, we're gonna grind. If my mom and my dad see this video, I love you so much. Yesterday when I was getting everything taken care of, they were so supportive. My dad was with me on tech support the whole time, and my mom was almost willing to drive down here to help. So if that doesn't say I love you, I don't know what will. So if you see Amy or Gary Dietz at any point in your lifetime, for any of you guys to watch this, those are 2 of the best people you will ever meet on this planet. They may not look at it first, but they are. My mom will. My dad's kind of tough to get around, but I love them both more than they'll ever know. So hopefully they watch this video at some point. But stay tuned, guys. We're gonna go out here and see if we can't catch some fish. Let's do it. So right here, we're starting back on the edge of a creek. I had actually caught a couple back in this creek. It's like a little pocket off the main lake, and I'm throwing a jerkbait. You can see there's a Megabass Vision 110+1. And I'm really just trying to expand on a pattern that I had going. I was catching fish in the backs of creeks right there. I hook up. I was catching fish in the backs of creeks on wood, kind of in the middle of those pockets or the middle of those drains. And I wanted to see if I could kind of follow that out to the main lake. So right here I hook up with a decent keeper. And this is a lot of what I was catching was just these 1.5 to 2 3/4 pound fish anytime that I was doing this pattern. So it was kind of annoying, but at the same time you were still catching decent fish. So I kind of thought that was the average in the lake, was that one right there. And I was honestly, that was my entire game plan going into the tournament, was I was going to try to do this, but obviously things changed. So we're going to see what I keep doing here and keep plugging away. Gosh, you got it. What a clanky dink. What a clanky dink. I'm unhooking a fish right now.
You just caught one.
Yeah, I'm trying to bury the hooks out of it, or get the hooks out of the damn thing right now.
Hey?
I mean, I think it's a keeper. I'm gonna measure it, but
Spotted bass, largemouth bass.
what do you think?
I want to say it's a 21-inch smallmouth.
A 21-inch spotted bass. It'd be like a 30-pounder.
Yeah. That's the way they're built. Just about.
Oh yeah, it's a keeper.
15 1/4.
Yep.
Probably doesn't.
No. That is a fish. Not a bad one either. No way. Oh, buddy. That's kind of neat. 2 spots back to back. Yep, not a bad one either. We might have just put something together here. Thumbs up for that. Gotta wait for this boat to go by and then I can unhook the little fella. Come here. It's a deal. Not a giant, but a 2.5er for sure. Right here, I actually have a fish on. I was doing the same thing in a different area that you saw me doing earlier, fishing these drains with a jerkbait, because a lot of this wood would hold these fish, and I would throw that jerkbait over top of it, these laydowns that would go out into like 25 feet of water, and you know, I would throw that over top of it, and you see me actually pretending to use a jerkbait right there, so that's what I hooked it on. But what I was doing was there was a boat right around the corner from me, so I'm just trying to pretend like I'm not even hooking a fish, because I didn't want these guys to see that I was doing that. Because I really hadn't seen anybody else working it like that or doing anything similar to that. A lot of people were just flipping that wood, and I thought these fish were suspended in there getting ready to push up because that water temp was like 53. Right there you can see the fish. It was like a 2.5 pounder. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was just, you know, in these tournaments like this, anything you can do to kind of hide your success before the tournament happens, and even during the tournament, you're better off for it. I've seen it so many times where guys will pull up, see you catch a fish, and then they start doing the exact same thing you're doing. So I was trying to keep these guys in the dark as to what I was doing. So one thing I like to do for that is I'll just feather my bail. And what I'll do is just open it and kind of pretend like I'm still working a bait. Like right here, I'm pretending I'm dropping on fish. And that's kind of how I was just playing it out. But that's what I did for this one. It ended up being like a 2.5 pounder. Like I said, it really T-boned the bait. I switched up to that Pro Blue color and a Mega Bass Vision 110 as opposed to like a regular shad color. And that more transparent color seemed to get me more bites, and they were eating it better than they were with a regular shad color. So that was really important, what I thought. It went from getting just the back hook or the back 2 hooks to actually having it T-boned across their face. So if they're just getting the back hook, the first thing I'm going to do, like I did there, was change color. And that's usually my go-to, and that'll help me get more bites. Before that, or after that, I'll change the action and then go from there. But, yep, this was just me trying to catch fish and not let anybody else see it. So we're going to keep grinding and see what else we can find. All right, so what I had found here was it was kind of a do-nothing bank, and that's what I really liked. It was something that was really not obvious to everybody else. It was kind of a transition on a channel swing, but it was a flat. And what it did was it had wood that had stacked up when the current gets high. And, you know, it gets that muddy water, pushes laydowns and stuff onto this bank, onto this flat. So what I was doing was I was just going down through it with my 360 and my pan optics, kind of combining them with my, you know, just looking at them together. And I would look at the 360 to find where these laydowns were, and then I would use my pan optics to see if there was actually fish inside of it. And right here I'm just throwing a little homemade finesse jig. It was a 3/8 ounce. And those largies really seemed to key in on that finesse jig when they were on this wood that wasn't obvious. You know, anytime I was on a big laydown, it seemed like they weren't really eating a jig. That's when I would go to that jerkbait. But on these less than obvious wood that nobody else could really see unless you got over top of it, they really seemed willing to eat the jig. So that's all I was doing, was going down through here. And it really seemed like anytime I found a decent piece of wood off the shore in like 10 feet, I would get bit. But again, they were only like 1.5 to 2.5 pounders, which was frustrating. Way they can't see.
Act like you're playing in the middle of your boat.
I'm just sitting down. Clear the scale. That's definitely a keeper though.
2 points.
2.93.
3 pounder.
3 pounder.
Hey, 5 of those will go a long way.
Yeah, that's a nice fish. Got the cool spots and stuff on it too.
Didn't you say this is an area that's near takeoff too?
Yeah, it's down below it a little ways. Oh, hold up. My scale says Why is it? Oh, it locked. Funny. My scale's being weird. Can you clear now? It won't even clear.
Acting goofy. It's not like those Rapala scales. The ones I have.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the ones you have are nice and they're useful, but they always seem to get real glitchy.
That's what I'm noticing. Like, it won't even clear it. And then when I actually put weight on it, it's not working. Turn it back off and turn it back on. That was 4 bites in a row I got on this bank.
Did you say that the river you're fishing's near takeoff?
Yeah. Oh, it is the takeoff river.
Yeah, see that? That's like your plan D. Like if you just...
If I have nothing to go to, nothing else is working. There we go, now it's cleared. That was kind of cool. Very cool. I gotta update my notes now.
What'd you say?
So right here, what I'm doing is I actually see some birds diving. And this was a really cool deal that was going on this lake. There was a lot of loons and a lot of, I think they're smaller terns is what they are. They're a little white bird. And the loons could actually dive down at like 50 feet. I was watching them on my Panoptics. They would go down and they would bring bait balls up. And then these smaller white terns would come down and eat it. But they would help keep the bait pinned in a small circle. So I went out here to just check and see if there was any bass doing this. But when those loons are present, those bass get nervous because those loons are so fast underwater. They were literally cooking underwater, and they can go down 40, 50 feet. Like I said, I was watching them go down on the bottom and get bait, and I had added a couple of times where I was fishing for fish, and a loon would come down on the bottom in like 35 feet and push it off. So this is just me kind of checking on stuff, and that's one thing you got to keep is an open mind when you're going around through. I see these birds diving, and that's something you always have to look at. So I was just going out here to kind of scan around with my live scope and see if there was anything feeding around it. And all I could find was those loons diving on there. But that was really cool to see how aggressive those loons were. And that kind of developed into something later on that we'll get to. But for now, I was just sitting here going, wow, those loons can chase bait from all over. And that's crazy. So that was a cool piece of information to pick up on.
I just want you to get your eyes right. I mean, if you're guessing 2.5, perfect. But if you weigh it and you guess 2.5 and it weighs 2.8, you're gonna be like, oh, they're okay, so they're heavy.
Dude, I'm telling you, I can't even get this hook out of this fish's face.
What did it eat?
A jig.
Nice. Or was it just a wet sock?
Boom. I pitched it up near some wood on this bank and it just went punk. Alright, I'm gonna say it's probably a 2-pounder.
2?
Making sure there's nobody around, clear the scale. Check them on. What do we got? Okay, 235.
So it's about 2 pounds, 6 ounces.
Give or take.
It's between 2.5 and 2.7.
Well, it was
2.25 is 2.4.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'd say, 2.25.
Okay. I think I'm gonna do, I think tomorrow I'm gonna launch back by where takeoff is and run that whole stretch of river and then up into the main lake a little bit, and then Wednesday I'll get out in the main lake and fish a lot of the stuff that I want to look at for the Derby. If we're gonna have very similar conditions to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then day 3, because I think you plan on making that. There's gonna be no wind. I think the most wind it has is 6 mile hours. It's gonna be similar to today.
Sick. Let's see if there's anything living in this tree. Oh yeah, there's fish.
So this day in history, in case you care, the record low is 9 degrees where you're at. The record high is 86.
There's fish in this tree.
Damiki it.
Didn't have to.
Oh, you got one?
Yep, another keeper. I think. I'll measure him. Oh, dude, I do have my GoPro running. I'm a genius. Yeah, it's a largie. I'm a genius.
Say hi right now. Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
It's not like I'm live, dude. I can edit that shit out. 14 3/4.
That's done.
So right here is where I really started to put my pattern that ended up being a winning pattern together. I got into this pocket that was a main lake pocket, and if you look at my live scope and my down imaging, you can actually see all the bait stacked up on the bottom. And what I'm doing is I'm just casting a little Damiki rig. It's actually a baby Z2 right there. I hook up, and the first one I hooked, I couldn't believe it. It's in 35 feet of water. I was just assuming it was a walleye or something like that, right? And I think right here I even say it's a dang smallmouth. Like, you see me trying to shake it off, because I'm so sure that it's a smallmouth in 35 feet that I was just completely getting rid of the thought that it was a largemouth. And so I'm fighting it, and I think it's a smallmouth the entire time. And right up here, it's going to come up, and I'm going to realize, like right here, it comes up, and I realize that it's a largemouth. It is a largie. And that completely blew my mind away. You know, 35 feet, and there's another boat over here, so you can see I let my line back out. And that was the key, was trying to make sure these other boats didn't realize what I was doing. So I go down and I mark a waypoint. And if you see me pull my phone out in this video, what I'm doing is I'm writing my notes down. So I'm just recording water temperature, location, how close to the main lake it is, what bait I caught it on, how deep it was, how good it got the bait, how big the fish was. You know, any little piece of information that I can try to keep that'll help give me a clue later when I'm sitting there looking at a graph.
All the bait.
Right there, you can see how much bait is on the bottom.
It is absolutely wicked right there.
And you can see when I start panning around, there's fish over top of it.
See him cutting his way right through the bait. Right there. Oh, that's so cool.
And this was super cool because I'd never done anything like this before. So I'm just fighting this fish and trying to play it out. And I'm really trying to get to an angle where that boat is going away from me, to where I feel like they're not going to be watching me try to land this fish. And that's what I eventually ended up doing, was just playing this fish out until this boat kind of faded away. And honestly, this boat never even saw that I had hooked this fish or caught this fish. I ended up catching like 3 fish right here that you'll see. But that boat was probably 50 yards away, and they never once noticed that I had caught a fish, because the guy complained to me later that he couldn't catch any fish. He's like, "Are you catching any?" And I was like, "No, man, I haven't had a bite." So, you know, hate to lie to him like that, but at this level of tournaments, you got to do everything you can to try to protect a pattern that you might develop. So I'm just pretending like I'm still dropping on it is what I'm doing. And this fish ends up being like a 3-pounder, or really close to it, which was a better average than I had been seeing fishing any kind of shoreline structure. And when I'm scanning around with my Panoptics, there was so many other fish down there that I really thought at that point that I might have stumbled onto something. And so I'm just playing this fish out, and that boat finally kind of gets away from me a little bit, and they start turning around, and that's when I'm going to try to, you know, land this fish as quickly as possible and get it back into the water. Another good thing you can do is kind of open up your center compartment and act like you're re-rigging. That's kind of a normal thing. But that boat goes away from me right there. That fish is super tired. So I just drag it up, right? Oh, that fish kind of went back down. But I just try to get it up as soon as possible without anybody seeing what I'm doing, because there was like 1 or 2 other boats over here. Right there, you can see it. Just had that little Damiki rig kind of choked right in the top of his mouth. There we go. You don't want to pick him up, you just let him go off the side. So after I had caught that first largemouth, I really wanted to double check to see what the other quality was here, or what else there was here. You know, if there was smallmouth here, which we really couldn't keep anyway. So I was really trying to make sure that they were actually largemouth, and a decent number of them. Because at this point, all I knew is I had caught 1 largemouth. So all I'm doing with that Damiki rig is I'm just casting it out with a 3/16 ounce ball head. When I see a fish on live scope, just trying to figure out which way they're going, I'm casting it out, letting it sink down to them. And then I'm either letting it pendulum by closing my bail and just letting it, you know, tight line down and swing down, and those fish would chase it down. Or what I would do is I'd cast it out, let it sink right down above them, and then I would just slow reel it back. And that was how I was getting my bites doing this. So
I was just kind of using my Panoptics and just graphing around. And I got 10-pound braid to a 7 to 10-pound Sunline FC Sniper fluorocarbon leader. And I actually was using this rod, but in the tournament I ended up switching to a different rod because I was losing fish on this rod. This is a G Loomis E6X Inshore series rod, and it's like a really, really limber rod. And I thought that was going to be okay because it would allow them to choke it a little bit better, and it'd kind of like give me a fail-safe for myself. But what I actually needed was a little bit heavier rod. So right here you can see I hook up with another one. It ends up being a really nice fish too. But it ends up being like a 4-pound smallmouth, which the smallmouth in this tournament had to be between 15 and 16. You could keep one, and then you could keep one over 21. So you could only keep 2 smallmouth per day. Like I said, between 15 and 16 you could keep one, and then over 21. So literally it was worthless to try to even chase smallmouth unless you happen to catch a big one late in the day, because those 15 to 16 inches are only going to weigh like 1.25 pounds, 1.5 pounds. They just seem to be skinnier than the largemouth were. So again, I'm just trying to hide this from that other boat, because even though it's a smallmouth, those guys might not know that by seeing me catch one. So I was trying to just give them no hopes that I was even catching any fish in this area. So I'm just, again, pretending like I'm jigging off the bottom and still, you know, drop shotting on them or doing whatever. And I end up playing this fish out and doing the same thing where I just get it up next to the boat and pop it off. I end up catching one more fish in this area. It was like a 3.25 pound largemouth. And that's what really sealed the deal on me understanding that a lot of these fish were largemouth. And I didn't realize how good the area was until the tournament started. And if you guys want, at the end of this video, I'll have my tournament footage linked where you can go in and check out, you know, how I did in that tournament. I ended up making a top 10. So if you want to see how I caught them, I have day 1 on footage. I don't have day 2 or day 3 because I was pretty nervous for it, and I couldn't download my GoPro footage. My laptop was being really dumb. But hopefully I got that taken care of. But again, I'm just trying to pop this fish off as quickly as I can without making it jump, you know, just trying to keep no attention to myself. So I'm just going to pop this fish off, get it back, and, you know, keep hunting around. Big old spotopotamus. Let's weigh him. What's your guess? It's got a gut on it.
Huh?
It's got a gut on it.
What'd it weigh?
I don't know. I'm putting it on the scales right now. It's probably like, oh. Wait, can you
How long do you think it is?
Can you FaceTime me?
I'll try.
I already tried. It didn't work.
I'm FaceTiming you right now. I don't know if it'll connect.
We're live. What's your guess?
I can't see it. I have to see the fish.
I showed it to you.
Oh my God. 2.42.
1.82.
What?
1.82.
Let me call you. I'm gonna call you. Holy crap, it's obese.
Spotted bass. We're gonna see if I can take a photo while I'm on the phone. Yeah, I can take photos on the phone.
What was it, 1 or 2?
1.82.
Yeah, now you need to find one of those that are built like that, but like 17 inches long.
Oh God.
Like,
We're not on the water. We are currently en route to Cherokee Lake, where there is a dealer that, by the grace of God, has a lower unit for a Merc 250. So what had happened was I bumped a stump idling on Gunnersville at the last event in practice, going 2 miles an hour. Didn't do anything to the prop. Didn't look like it did anything to the prop shaft. Motor ran fine. No worries, right? Started practice here. 2 days into practice, I started noticing a tick, and the tick continually got louder until yesterday. It was really loud. So I changed out the gear lube in the gear case, and it was full of metal chips and metal chunks and not good stuff. So that was at the end of the day yesterday after I changed everything out. Called around, found a Marina that has a lower unit, and I'm flat broke, as most of you guys know that watch the channel. I put all my eggs into this basket, this fishing basket, and when unexpected things like this happen, I'm up a creek. Well, luckily, my dad has offered to pay for it, so I'm gonna go get a lower unit put on this. I have to break it in. So my ETA there is 11:10. So if I get it put on by 2, you know, being generous, 3, that gives me a few hours that I can put it on Cherokee Lake and break it in before the tournament starts tomorrow. So that's the game plan. You know, many tears have been shed, I'm not gonna lie. If any of you guys that watch this have done this deal, you know how hard it is and how nice you can treat your equipment and how much care you can put into everything, but can't see what's under the water until you go over it. But this is the second lower unit in a year, which is 18 grand, in case you're curious. So looks like I'm getting 2 jobs when I go back home, but just gotta roll with it. Get knocked down 8 times, get up 9. So we're gonna go get this lower unit put on, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, guys, we just got done at the Marina. Can't remember the name of it. I'll have it linked somewhere down below. But it's back to sounding like it's supposed to. So thank goodness for that. Unfortunately, $9,300 later, but that's a problem for future John. Current John is going to worry about breaking it in a little bit. We'll probably be out here for like 3-4 hours before I got to drive 3 hours back to Dale Hollow, where the tournament will start tomorrow. So I already got my rods rigged while I was waiting, but kudos to that Marina, man. They did everything top notch. They were super fast about everything. I got there, I was only there for like 2 hours, maybe not even that long. So for them to get everything done like that in that amount of time, it was super phenomenal. So hats off to them. And but yeah, now we're ready to get back to fishing. But right now, gotta do a little driving around. So let's break it in.